So, we've got together at last. Old friends, been a little while, hasn't it?
Great to be with you, Morton.
Nice to be with you as well, Claire. So just catching up, really. We've both got things coming up, haven't we? But you've got a course coming up. You've had different editions of your book out. Tell me a bit more about the course, because that's quite exciting. Where does it come from?
So it's a new course. I've been running something called Fairy Tale Medicine and loads of other long courses over the last few years, but this is a new course and it feels really exciting. And it's called Adornment, and it's about the ways we show up in the world and how we dress ourselves and present ourselves, which might feel quite flippant or that's something, I don't know the word I'm looking for,
well, sometimes it's just
level or but
sometimes it feels a bit functional, doesn't it? You just get up, you're doing your day and you don't really think about what you wear.
Don't and aren't. But it's actually a really deep, beautiful topic, and it came from when I was writing my book, which is called Something Between Derelict and Divine. It's all about grief and love and my love story with my wife Sandra, who died. And I realised that loads of the stories in it were around clothes.
Yeah.
So there was a lot about dresses, because I love dresses. And there was a lot about Sandra's clothes and jackets she loved and how we got them. And then the last dress I was wearing when she died. And then also afterwards, like different things. So lots of them were dress stories, and I like illustrated them as well. So there's loads of dress stories, and then it turned out to be lots of dress stories from in the past. But I also put pictures of dresses and stuff like that in the book, so kind of illustrated it with things. And it was really healing to think about things through clothes. And then I did a mental health project at a local mental health peer group, and I read them some of the stories, and then we looked at clothes and what they meant to them, and clothes, and it turned out to be so deep. We did some big healing. People were like, I've looked at grief I've not been able to touch for years, and it's been really healing. Through just the starting point of, is there some clothes that you can remember that from your past, or so beautiful.
There's no pun intended, but there's so many layers of meaning to clothes, isn't there? Because there is that sort of, people rushing about and just putting clothes on and going to work and it all feeling maybe a bit functional and everyday, but actually I think we put some quite detailed thought into what we wear, don't we? And it's about how we present to the world, or how we want to present to the world and connect with others.
And sometimes I don't realise, but like I dress differently when I want to like be seen, or days when I just want to blend in. And also thinking about things we've worn in the past, or things people we've loved have worn, and what happens to them when they die and stuff like that. And everyone, even if we're not really interested in clothes, has usually got a story about a piece of clothing. Like, have you got a favourite piece of clothing from now or the past that you can think of?
I've got my favourite piece of clothing I probably think about now is I've got a pair of green DMs, and I love them, and they're sort of, people always comment on them. But I've always loved DMs, but I bought them when I was getting married, and my family, like loads of people in Liverpool, have got an Irish ancestry, and my husband is half Italian, so I used the clothes that I wore that day to reflect the colours of our two countries, because there's overlaps really in some ways with the colours of the flag. So I was wearing a white shirt and sort of red tie and these green these green boots, and for me that sort of combination was just something for me to make me feel like I'm joining these two families together.
It's a whole love story.
Yeah.
You could almost start a novel with that, couldn't you? And that's what I just think. There's such richness in thinking about our clothes and symbolism.
Yeah.
And it can tell a story that we might not, tell on the day, but you were kind of wearing hidden messages to tell your story in that.
And more everyday stuff, really. I can remember shirts, particular shirts that used to be favourites from years and years ago, that remind me of going out and going out clubbing, and there was nothing particularly special about that, but it reminds, if I think about that piece of clothing that I liked, actually it just represents a period of my life, and something, and music and dancing that I still like now, maybe don't do as much, but there's a lot there.
Do you ever think, where is that shirt? Because I like to have favourite dresses, and then I'm like, where is that dress actually?
It'd probably be too small for me now.
Where did they all go? I had this little blue mohair dress. It was when I first came back to Liverpool, and I was like 21, and the world was like sparkly and Hope Street and all round there, and it was a little tiny blue mohair dress. And whenever I used to wear it, I used to get into fabulous trouble around Liverpool. And everyone used to want to stroke it, and the colour was lovely. And it was like infamous. And then it didn't fit me, and I just stopped wearing it. And I cut it up and made it into a piece of artwork. And then I sold that piece of artwork at my first art exhibition. And so it's on someone's wall now, the blue hair dress, which I love.
That's amazing.
And during putting this course together and thinking about clothes, I've been looking at other people who work with grief and clothing. And an amazing woman that I met in Margate, and she's using her mum's drawings and stuff that her mum did before she died, doodles, to make fabrics that she then wears. There's people like Marianne, who's a friend, who has collected her mum's lipsticks and has photographed them all in the shape of her mum's lips. So it's so beautiful. There's so many stories in jewellery, makeup, hair, and then all the cultural stuff that goes with it, the meanings, and then all the stuff that we want to break. Like, you can't wear that because it won't look professional, or breaking gender norms around male clothing, women's clothing. I remember being at a conference and someone commenting on my clothes and about how, they're a bit stupid or fluffy, and I really challenged it. So it was a man that said it, a male therapist that said it, and I said, actually I'm really experienced and deep, and my work's beautiful, and a dress like this, and that's, that's okay, that I'm not in a suit, but I'm very professional. So challenging how we're seeing it. So it's a huge topic, isn't it?
I think it is a huge topic, and I think we've just touched on some very simple things there, and talked about ourselves in quite rich ways. And I'm just thinking, in terms of a course, sometimes people think, well, a course is not, it's a bit like going back to school. But actually, this is just how simple it is. You just bring yourself and thoughts of clothing, and it's a means for you to potentially share stories about yourself, and hear stories, and share experiences, and
have
connect.
Things reflected back to you. Meet another amazing group of people. So it's in person and John Lewis, so we're in a fabulous environment.
Amazing.
But then it's also online, so there's people in America on it and stuff. So it's an opportunity to meet people you'd never meet probably, and to make new friendships, which I think is everything. I've got some people who met on my courses like 30 years ago, and they're best friends. They've been to their weddings, kids, stuff, funerals together, and it's the friendship that, it's invaluable, isn't it? To go on something and meet someone that'll be in your life.
It is, and I think it's I think this is shaping up to be sort of quite a quite could be quite a radical experience, but very gentle, actually. You bring an awful lot of, could potentially bring an awful lot of meaning to somebody's life or growth, but actually there's nothing, you're not getting asked to do anything particularly scary.
No,
actually.
I'm just dead gentle on courses, and people find themselves doing stuff and said, how did I end up in a photo shoot or doing this? But yeah, it's all optional and it's all just gentle invitations.
I was one of those. Big love, my brother. How did I find myself on a boating lake with loads of young men around a fire pit? Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of it. If you'd said to me, "Oh, you're going to go out in this park and do these things," I would be thinking, "Oh, I'm not an outdoor person."
Yeah. We're going to do archery and
but actually naturally just got drawn into it, and it completely fit for me that day. So
because it was just about being together.
Yeah.
And everyone supporting each other.
Absolutely.
And the last week is a really beautiful photo shoot for those that want, but those that don't, they can help the others that do. And we've done this before, and it's not about being seen as handsome or beautiful or it's about being seen as really you, so seeing yourself, really real and beautiful in that, and maybe looking quirky or deep or sad, and being okay with that, and so just playing with all that. So and then there's someone coming in to show us colours, and we make our own palette of what colours we love. And what's really us, and whether that's all black, I only ever wear all black, or whether I'm rainbowish. Everyone's just got their own story and is welcome and accepted in that.
So that process, I mean, I imagine there could be some people who end up taking part in that photo shoot, and they might present themselves in ways that they've never thought possible. And this could be a really wonderful way to sort of safely explore what you haven't revealed to other people, what you've thought you kept to yourself, that you can continue keeping to yourself if you need
to. Stay private.
But actually, you'll be amongst a group of people and with an excellent facilitator who will really keep you safe, who will allow you to just express yourself and be yourself.
And we've got loads of things that you can play with, the bower of gorgeousness, of course, and all that magic. I was just remembering a funny story of we did this, it was called the Big Love Boudoir a few years ago, and it was with people who really struggled with their body image, and at the end of the 3 days was a photo shoot. If people wanted, it was optional, and somebody wanted to be naked, and that was fine, of course. And Sandra, my wife, who died, she came to do the photographs, and I said, right, take all your clothes off. She said, what? And I said, well, you can't be behind the camera and being all safe with your clothes on and that person's naked. So she's like, bloody hell. So she's stripped off, and she'd had a double mastectomy, so it was tough for her. But she was laughing, and then the person in front of the camera instantly relaxed, and everybody was screaming, laughing. And it was just really joyful, lovely. And the photographs I think I dressed up as a pirate, and we just had a really good laugh. So I think it's just a beautiful opportunity to explore yourself, but in a different way. That you then might end up I don't know, you might end up going to therapy and talking about the session and what it brought up for you, and it opens a door. Because if you'd have just sat with me and said talk about grief, or I'd said talk about, we might have known where to start. But it just opens up so much, but also just to be playful, which I think sometimes is hard, isn't it? Because I think, oh God, playful. If I hear playful, I get scared. I think I don't like forced jollity.
No, and but also as adults, we're sort of restricted in the permission to be playful, aren't we? And we are playful. We can be playful. Touching on clubbing and dancing. Dancing is being playful. But lots of us will do that in our living room or our bathroom or whatever. But it's sort of in secret. But actually, we we need a bit more playfulness, I think, as adults in our
And I
lives.
think life feels pretty grim for
It
so
does.
many people at the moment, doesn't it?
It does.
And money's a worry, and
Yeah.
you know, I love clothes, but I'm not running out buying loads of clothes
No.
at the moment. So we've got someone coming on one of the weeks who does alterations. So you bring a piece that you no longer love, and she'll transform it for you into something else. So it's not about going out and buying stuff, but also I think in these times we need something juicy and nourishing, because
Definitely.
everything's grim,
Yeah.
isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's not about going and getting a new wardrobe
No.
or any of those things. It's just about playing, celebrating,
Yeah.
and exploring possibilities, you know. And even one of the sessions, we're going to go out in Liverpool and just notice people's style that we like, because it's in my head at the moment. I was in the train station the other day, and I just saw this woman's shoes, and she was like very beige and very kind of conventional, and then she had these wild leopard skin trainers on, and I said, your trainers are fabulous. And she's like, no one's ever called me fabulous before. And it's just really lovely noticing people's outfits and then saying something to them, isn't it? So I think it's just going to be delicious, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think it'll be amazing, and like you say, it's a pretty bleak time in lots of different ways. So this is an opportunity to make a bit of room for some light and joy and nourishment, and I think that is dead important for us all right now.
Martin, as a therapist, do you see, what's your experience? Do people talk about clothing, or do you notice the way people dress, or if they're beginning to feel better if they dress differently? Have you noticed that in yourself, you know, when you're feeling a bit better?
How I dress definitely is determined by my mood, and like yourself, many times, my mental health isn't perfect. I don't think anybody really is, but perfect in terms of their mood and how well they are. Sometimes I will feel like I want to hide away. I'll put a hoodie on, that hood will be up, and I'll be wandering around like one of the traitors, not wanting to be seen. And other times I'm much more open and brighter.
Yeah.
And I have seen it in the therapy room as a counsellor, just in little ways, and it's not even about we're not even talking about clothing or appearance, but I can see subtle ways that how people turn up to the therapy room and what they're wearing can change, does change. There is can be a lightness or a change of colour, or just something shifts as things shift for them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes maybe it might be a bit more direct. I've done a lot of work with people who are trans and people who are non-binary, and how you present to the world and how the world responds to you is really, really a prominent issue, an unwelcome one in some ways. But people may be finding as people find some greater sense of self, they have to become more assured in being themselves and presenting and
finding
themselves.
their style that works for them. Which has got nothing to do with fashion, really, has it? It's like about style. And I think, you can wear, sometimes I forget, but I'll have a ally badge on or a rainbow thing on, and someone in a shop can just be like, oh, hi, and you think, oh, and then you think, oh, it's because I've got this on, and sometimes that's really expressive and it's to give a message. Sometimes when I'm missing Sandra, I'll just put on her favourite dress of mine that she used to love, that's like Everton blue, and nobody else would know, but there's me in a memorial to her and celebrate her on that day. So clothes, fashion, adornment, it's huge. Isn't it?
It is. And I think what you touched on for a moment there around style isn't about fashion. I think that's so important. you. Often we are, especially in Western society, in Western culture, we are pressured to maybe think about, I've got to be fashionable, I've got to be fashionable. But actually, people can be fashionable and not be stylish. They're not wearing things that really reflect them. And often people are wearing things that are on paper are unfashionable, but they look infinitely stylish because it's them.
And we're going to look at different icons which might not be your traditional people you think of as icons or stylish icons, but people who are truly them. And I think that's what being iconic is. It's not following the fashions, but it's just being wholly you, and celebrating that, and that oozes out of someone, doesn't it?
And that can be anything from trainers and a trackie to a big glittery ball gown. All of them encompass style. It's just reflecting you and being you.
Well, I think we could do a whole series
I think we
of
probably
videos on this topic, and it's endless, and I love talking to you about it.
It's been really lovely. Thanks, Claire.
Big love.
Big love.